Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, up, talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.
Pull up a seat. You're now in Corey's Corner, where right conversations matter. I'm your host, Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Today on Corey's Corner, we're sitting down with one of the most respected and trailblazing figures in modern law enforcement. Former NYPD Chief of Department and former Suffolk County Police Commissioner, Rodney Harrison. With more than 32 years in policing, Rodney Harrison rose from an undercover narcotics officer in Brooklyn to the highest uniform rank in the NYPD, leading over 35,000 members during some of the most challenging moments in recent history, including COVID-19 pandemic, rising crime concerns, and growing national debates around policing and public trust. He made history as the first black chief of detectives in the NYPD history, and later became the first black police commissioner in Suffolk County history. From solving homicides in Brooklyn to leading an investigation that cracked the Gilgo Beach serial killing case, his career has been defined by leadership under pressure, reform, tenacity, and results. Now a national law enforcement contributor for CBS News and co-founder of Hall and Harrison Solutions, he continues shaping the future of public safety across the country. This is going to be a real conversation about leadership, policing, politics, public trust, and legacy. Rodney, welcome to Corey's Corner.
My man.
My brother, man. Been waiting for you to come on,
I know,
man.
I apologize, man. Just wanted to put some things behind me, but I'm glad to be here.
Man, you here. This episode of Corey's Corner is brought to you by Vodka. Vodka is the world's first premium blend of vodka and tequila infused into one smooth, unforgettable spirit. Whether you're celebrating success or unwinding after a long week, choose the spirit that's refined in the game. Visit vodka.net for more information. Shout out to Corrupt Mob MC, a brotherhood built on loyalty, respect, and community. More than a motorcycle club. Respect them all. Let's go, Commissioner. Let's get it done. Commissioner Harrison, let's start from the beginning. What was life like growing up in New York, and what experiences shaped the man you became before policing ever entered the picture?
So I grew up over here, right in Rochelle Village, and I always kind of had a aspiration of, being involved in sports, maybe even playing somehow on a collegiate level. The one thing I will say is when you grow up in that type of community, you have your frustrations with law enforcement, and I had several incidents where I have had engagements with law enforcement officials, people from the NYPD. I wasn't happy with the professionalism. They were very discourteous, even to the point one time I was falsely arrested right there in Circle 4. So, growing up in a brown and black community, not too many people aspired to go into law enforcement. And, the one thing I will say is I had, parents that kept a foot in my behind. And one of the things that they always asked for me to do is make sure I did good in school and try to find my way to go into college, which I ended up going to Springfield College out in Massachusetts for 4 years.
You started your career as a police cadet in 91 and officially joined the NYPD in 92. What originally inspired you to pursue law enforcement during that era in New York City? Pause. I need to let the listeners know, I might not be right. You might know better than me, but I think you're probably the only chief of department that went from cadet to chief of department.
That's correct.
Fucking outstanding. Can you believe that? You're the first. You're the first to go from cadet. So for the listeners and the viewers in the NYPD, the police structure, y'all always think like police to chief to commissioner. But there's a cadet program where people go to college, they want to be police officers, and they work with the NYPD, the college students, and then they come on the job. So he's the first to do it. Yo, kudos. That's big. The first one. I love it.
Well, let's go back to why I became or went into the Cadet Corps, and I kind of messed up in my first year at Springfield College. I think I brought home like a 1.9, and the second semester a 2.0. So I had to do a fifth year. And
you was killing it in
college.
That was
horrible. Well, I was planning to play college basketball, and I kind of messed up my grades, and I was partying too much and doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing. So I found myself having to do a fifth year, and Carl Harrison, my father, said, check this out. I'm not paying for your fifth year. And he said you could either join the military, you could go get a full-time job, or you could try this Cadet Corp program. It's an internship where you'll be assigned to a precinct, and you work there, and they'll pay for your tuition. You have to come to a school inside New York City, but you kind of work inside a precinct and kind of help them out with administrative duties and kind of get a better understanding of some of the administrative stuff that goes behind the scenes within the department. And I didn't want to go to the military.
Right.
I had a girlfriend at the time, so I didn't want to get like a full-time job because I knew that would have kind of hindered our relationship. So I said, all right, let me try this Cadet Corps thing. Let me see how it works out. I started out in the 111 precinct because I didn't want to do anything local or close to home because it was like a little embarrassing knowing that you were doing the Cadet Corps, meanwhile being from Rochdale. And one thing led to another, and I started seeing the good in policing and the men and women in that side that precinct and regarding helping and being advocates for victims. And then there was a cops and kids basketball game that opened my eyes where, because I played little ball, the cops that were putting the game together asked me if I wanted to play. So we played the game, and during halftime, there was like some conversation going on, and we were talking about some of the goods and bad, and they asked me to talk, and I shared my thoughts about, some of the difficulties that come with growing up in certain communities. And I found myself being a mentor where I actually stayed in contact with some of these kids. And I eventually said to myself, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to go through the doors of the NYPD and try to mentor and help people and be an advocate for victims.
Great. It's outstanding. Early in your career, you worked undercover in Brooklyn North narcotics, one of the toughest assignments in policing. What did that experience teach you about survival, instincts, and trust?
First of all, it is the most difficult job in policing, and anybody that goes into the world of being an undercover, I have the total highest level of respect for them, and the dangers that come with it are unfortunately endless. In 1995, my partner Michael Stoney, me and him were doing a buy and bust operation in Brooklyn North, and he was shot during that buy and bust operation. Arguably one of the most scariest moments of my life. Seeing your partner go down, the bullet is lodged in his chest, and you can just see him struggling, breathing. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't think he was gonna make it. And Stoney's doing good today, but it's something where you take a look at how do we get in that position, and the violence that was occurring in New York City at that time frame, for them to kind of put us out there in that environment to see what we could do to kind of maybe quell the violence was the beginning for me to say, you know what, I want to move up in rank and try to make decisions because they really put us in harm's way. And there was something where I looked at what happened to my partner. He kind of just threw us out there. And
well, you know what? Because I know some of the intricacies of the story. So let's speak about it because we have cops from all over the country. Let's set it up. From my understanding, you guys didn't want to go out. You felt it was really dangerous. That was a real dangerous set. Y'all wasn't prepared. Let's set it so people know how the inner workings go. Like the bosses make the decisions, right?
Yeah. And it's funny. I didn't want to get that detail, but now that you bring it up, let's do it. They told us that over in the confines of Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, they're having a lot of shootings on the midnight tour, and they, instead of sending street crime, the guys that go after the guns,
right?
They wanted to send narcotics over there. And we had a meeting the night before the shooting incident with the whole field team, talking to the executive, saying, hey, listen, this is very, very dangerous. Why are we sending narcotics there? The cops tried to hold the line and say, listen, this is something that we should not be doing. And now, mind you, I had 2.5 years on the job. Right. So I was just sitting in the room like this, I don't know what to say, but I wasn't in any place to say anything. And the executive said, well, I don't care what you guys think, you guys are going out there. And we went out that midnight, and the first set we went to, Marcus Garvey and Van Buren, right in the corner. I was doing the buying, Stoney was doing the ghosting. I stepped to a few dudes on the corner. It was unsuccessful buy. I headed back to the car, and one of the guys jumped off the corner and started beefing with me and Stoney. Stoney was probably about 30 to 40 feet behind me, and Leandre Hart pulled out his gun and started shooting at Stoney. Stoney gets shot in his arm. He goes down. Then me and the same individual shooting back and forth to one another. And my adrenaline kind of messed me up because I was charging him at first, shooting instead of trying to take cover. And then I realized when the bullets were flying past me, oh, there's a pole right here. Let me jump behind the pole. And then at the same time, this is why I always tell people that Stoney saved my life. While he's on the ground with a bullet in him, he pulls out his gun, 38 Browning, and starts firing at the perpetrator, and that's what made him flee. And then we caught him like right after that. But if it wasn't for Stoney getting back into the gun battle,
Right.
I'm not sure what would have happened between me and this person. I had a revolver, 5 shots, so every bullet counted.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm savoring every shot,
Yeah.
but it was a scary moment, and we were able to get Stoney to the hospital. Maria was notified, his wife at the time, and it was just such an unfortunate incident because the leadership failed our narcotics module that day.
Yeah. So that night, I'm at a wedding at Astoria Manor, and I get the call. I think they must have just got married in the reception area, and I thought we had beepers back then, I guess.
Yeah.
So I get a beep or whatever to call, and Stoney got shot, and I rushed out of the wedding to go to the hospital. And I heard you recently speaking and saying you was there. You saw him on the gurney. He was talking. You was talking to him. Yeah. And I remember going to the hospital and saying, for the audience, Stoney's like a brother to both of us.
Yeah.
He was on the show a few months ago, and I'm just glad that you and him survived that. And I'm glad you was there to protect him. He was there to protect you, and y'all able to see your kids grow. Only God, that was God that night for sure.
No doubt.
So you was awarded the Police Combat Cross, one of the NYPD's highest honors. What does that recognition mean to you today when you reflect on your journey? Now, the Police Combat Cross, you got it for that shooting. It's something that you probably wasn't even comfortable getting that night from when you got the award. But you deserved it, and that's what happens when cops get into shootings.
Well, not only did we receive the Combat Cross, they also promoted us early. Usually what you're supposed to do is 18 months investigative time, and they promoted me and Stoney in our first 11 months of our investigation. Well, listen,
at least one took a bullet, one almost died.
Yeah. So it.
And that was a bedside promotion for Stoney, right?
No, we were sworn in at City Hall.
At City Hall.
I mean, promoted at City Hall.
At City Hall.
Yeah. But listen, as much as I am grateful for the Combat Cross getting promoted earlier, I would give it all back for Stoney not to be shot. And that's
absolutely.
It's just a horrible night, and Stoney still suffers from that bullet in him, and he's still a great friend, and still a great human being. Yes. Incredible father to his kids, and I love the man. So.
And he's camping, and he's doing all.
Yeah, he's living like a rock star now.
I just went to his house in Virginia not long ago. He got a freaking cold bath in the back. Yeah. He's asking me to get out. So I'm not getting in that thing. He gets in this thing every morning for like 15 minutes. Yeah. Freezing cold.
Yeah. Big tennis player, even though I'll still take his money on the tennis court, but that's my man for life, though.
Well. He begs to differ.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Now, you solved multiple homicide and shooting investigations while assigned to the 7-1 Detective Squad. What separates a great detective from just a good investigator?
There's a lot of things. I think one of the most important things is getting out the office. One of the things that I saw when I was chief of detectives and chief of department when I was running CompStat is a lot of people do work behind the desk, and that's we're in a world of technology where certain things can be done, but you also gotta go out there and knock on doors, develop relationships, get somebody from the community to maybe give you some information, cultivate maybe some confidential informant, debrief individuals downstairs that have been brought in from patrol.
AI is never going to take the place of gumshoe footwork, right?
No way. Yeah, and that's what separates the really good detectives. And not waiting till the shooting happens, having those relationships prior to the incident. I'm gonna give somebody a compliment. Phil Banks. Phil Banks was a precinct commander in the 7-9, and he was always very passionate about having relationships with the community. And he would give his number to everybody, and he would always treat people with the utmost customer service. He was so good at that skill set. People would call him up about information about shootings. Like, they wouldn't go to the detective squad. They would go to the precinct commander, because he was somebody that took pride in making sure that the community was always right. And that's one of the things that I took away from him when I was blessed to go up the ranks. When I became a precinct commander, it's like, listen, let's make sure we have a very good, strong relationship with the community.
It's funny you say that, because I worked for him. I was a sergeant for him, the fucking toughest fucking police commander I ever worked for.
That was for me too. Yeah, but you know what though about him? He was harder on the people who he had a high level of expectation for.
Oh, for
and
sure.
I was one of them. Kevin Williams, another one. I mean, there was a host of other individuals who he's put a foot in our ass. But you know what? He wanted the best for us
all the time. Shout out PB3, Phil Banks III. As you climb through the ranks, Sergeant, Precinct Commander, Chief, what leadership principles help you earn respect in rooms where pressure was constant?
I think one of the things that helped me navigate through that was I always was proactive. I was detective in the 7-1 squad, where I was involved in solving multiple cases of violence. I was given an opportunity to work in the 7-3 Brownsville, Brooklyn, which is
tough.
People may not know about Brownsville, Brooklyn, but it's arguably one of the most violent areas in the country, let alone New York City. I was an anti-crime sergeant there, where I learned from some incredible police officers. I could shout out some names, but I'll be here all day. But really put myself in position to really learn the job. So when I had an opportunity to go up in rank, my resume kind of spoke for itself. People knew what I did when I was a street cop, and I think it helped me navigate for people to at least have a level of respect for me. And that's the NYPD way. Like, people want to know what you've done with your career. Were you proactive? Can you lead from the front? And during my time frame, I want to believe as a frontline supervisor, that's one of the things that I took pride in, being out there with the men and the women that did this dangerous job and made sure that I got my hands dirty as well.
Right. You commanded the 2-8 and the 3-2 up in Harlem, the Black Mecca, during critical times for community police relations. How important is communication and visibility in building trust in the communities of color?
So Harlem was a very, very demanding community, and I kind of learned the hard way. And my predecessor in the 2-8 was Dwayne Montgomery. Dwayne Montgomery was a big Harlemite. They loved him up there. Then here I come as Queens dude. I don't know anybody up in Harlem. And I had to start developing my own relationships. And going around and meeting people is one thing, but making sure you're accessible. And you'd be surprised. A lot of people would have frustrations with the police officers up in Harlem sometimes. And, because I took the position of making myself accessible, giving my number to everybody, going to meetings, staying late after work and engaging communities at different meetings that go on all the time up in Harlem, I think that there really transformed me into being a stronger executive, because of the demands that he asked for you from Harlem. And there were some powerhouse people up there. I could go everybody from Lloyd Williams to Jackie Rowe Adams to Aisha Sekou, and a host of others.
Right. You had everybody
the game was different up there.
Let me tell you, I'll never forget getting my first command, PSA 2, and Chief Esposito, who was one of me and your heroes, sat me down in his office, and I would never forget, me and Eddie Caban got the commands the same day. He sat us down. He said, let me tell you something. I don't care if it's one person in the meeting or 200, go to that meeting.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to know if that one person might be the person that's going to save you or help you. And I never forgot that.
There was a reverend. Her name was Reverend Betty. Right?
Remember Reverend Betty?
She was,
I was a lieutenant in the 2-8.
She was a street preacher.
Yes.
I still to this day don't understand what was her connection with Ray Kelly. But she would make complaints about real frivolous stuff about things that were going on in the command. And I kind of blew her off. This is actually a funny story. I actually kind of blew her off in the beginning.
I'm like, old lady. Right.
And it got to the point where Kelly reached out to me and said, I'm hearing some concerns about Reverend Betty. Maybe you're not the right person for the 2-8. After that, I was bringing her lunch. I was bringing her lunch and dinner, going to her house, sitting down, whatever. But those were the demands that people wanted, and it really made me a better executive, understanding that you have to treat people with the utmost respect, and even though they may not necessarily look like they're sane and they may have other issues that are going along with them, I found my way trying to placate with anybody and everybody up in Harlem, and it really worked its way out.
Yeah, Reverend Betty. After the Eric Garner incident, you was assigned to Staten Island during one of the most challenging times in modern policing. What did you learn about leadership during crisis and public scrutiny?
So first and foremost, I was in internal affairs at the time frame when the Eric Garner incident occurred, and Bill Bratton and Jimmy O'Neill called me into their office, and they said, "Hey, listen, we know you live in Long Island, but we want to kind of put you out in Staten Island because there was a lot of protests and rioting and a host of other issues that were going on in the North Shore of Staten Island." And I'll go back to my time in Harlem. I think my experience in developing relationships gave me that opportunity to go out to Staten Island. And Ed Delatorre was really doing a good job out there. Frank Vega, who was my predecessor, was also involved in trying to do the best he can and trying to keep the temperature down. But then when they moved Frank Vega, they put me out there, and I saw their concerns. I saw the pushback and the frustration, and it was something that I had to make sure I listened. I gave advice, but the most important thing that you have to do in a situation like that is listen and try to be guided by what their demands are and how do we fix them going forward. And, even Ms. Carr, who was Eric Gardner's mother, extremely, extremely intelligent woman, but she wanted to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Right.
And, listening, understanding her concerns, working with the houses of worship out there, we were able to find a way over a very, very long period of time to calm things down. And it was an experience that I'll never forget, and something that I look back now and say, wow, that was something that I will always say, that I had a role in being part of something that touched the country, maybe even the globe,
the world,
regarding cops and community engagement, and what can we do to make things better. And there was like a little bit of a blueprint of engagement that I learned from, that I've taken with me throughout the rest of my career in NYPD.
Let me tell you, when I first found out that you was getting assigned to Staten Island, I was like, there's no better person to send out to Staten Island. With the fire that was going on. Listen, it is what it is. We call a spade a spade. They needed a black exec. They needed somebody black to go out there because the tensions was crazy.
Yeah.
But they could have sent anybody out there. But I thought that you was the perfect person to go out there, and obviously I was right. Did a great job.
Well, I will say this. My learning curve from Harlem helped me go out to Staten Island to be able to learn how to listen. And once you learn how to listen and not always try to direct people, you become a better executive.
Yes. Shout out to Mama Carr. Love you. Sweet, sweet lady. As Chief of Patrol, you oversaw citywide operations and major events in New York City. How difficult is it managing public safety for one of the biggest and most complex cities in the world, if not the most important city in the world? I always tell people, they didn't bomb Paris 9/11. They hit New York City.
Yeah.
This is a big deal in the entire world.
77 precincts, 17,000 uniformed members of service answer to you. You're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we were in a situation where Officer Ramos and Lou were assassinated. Yes. So we were in a place where we tried to implement neighborhood policing. It was tough. It was a really, really tough time. But I will say compliments to Bratton, Terry Monahan for changing the narrative of how we do policing and strengthening those relationships, putting cops in position where it's not just the community affairs cops that are having engagements,
Right.
but patrol cops are being asked to go off the radio, not answer any radio calls, and make sure they go into the businesses, the houses of worships, the educational institutions, and just try to get a better understanding and have their own meetings. It was called Build a Block meetings.
Right.
And they were held accountable. And if you were like a good NCO, I mean, it got to the point where we were very, very appreciative. We would give you a specialist shield, protective shield. So relationship building is very important in policing. Jimmy O'Neill used to say this all the time: we can't do this in a vacuum. We got to have those community relations in order for us to protect such a humongous city. At the time, 8.5 million. And I want to believe we made a difference. And even in 2018 and 2019, we got crime down to record lows, based upon our partnerships with the community and getting people to feel comfortable to come forward and have engagements with their local police officers. You know, I use a phrase all the time when they were policing. You know, everybody has their personal doctor. Everybody has their personal distance that they always go to. I said, now you have your own personal cop, and you have access to their cell phone, email, call them anytime, and you can work together to resolve or address a condition or a situation inside that neighborhood. So it was very, very powerful strategy, and I was very happy to be a part of it.
I always tell people, they think police work is easy. I said, police work is in 40 minutes with a 20-minute commercial.
Yeah.
You know, they think like they watch TV and you solve the crime. And no, it's just a lot of work that goes into policing, as you know. In 2018, you became the first black chief of detectives in NYPD history. What did that moment represent, not only for you, but for young black officers coming behind you?
You know, one of the things that, I don't want to say that I saw it, but I would hear this, that people would get assigned to certain units because it was a good old boys club.
Right.
I think that when I was in that position, there was a level of inspiration for a lot of people of color within the NYPD. And I kind of reached a position where I always wanted to be in. And going back to my time where Michael Stoney was shot back in 1995, I always said I wanted to be the chief of OCCB. Now, OCCB and Detective Bureau merged, but I reached my dream position.
Right.
Which was the chief of detectives, because I wanted to make sure that, number one, the undercovers are getting the appropriate recognition. And I was that was like one of the first things I did when I came in. I was like, let me sit down with the undercovers, find out what the demands are, what are the equipment concerns, you know, how can I make your life better? And then second, I was worried about the detective squads and making sure they had their resources, being from the 7-1 squad and knowing some of the issues that came from there. I wanted to make sure that they had the appropriate manpower and the right people in place. But at the same time, we got crushed with COVID. We also had the George Floyd incident where there was a global protest that really made that time as chief of detectives very, very difficult. And people were running out the door, retiring, and rightfully so. They were scared of taking this unknown disease home, and people were unfortunately in a very difficult place. So regarding taking the shot and other things that really, we lost a lot of good police officers because of that.
Let's talk about that. During that time in COVID, what was your hardest leadership decision you had to make during that period?
Do I close down a unit or not? If somebody, there was a lot of unknowns. And if one person had COVID, we had to like shut down the whole squad. And then how do we have other people assigned from other precincts catch these cases? I mean, it was really the unknown.
Wow,
and then
I didn't know that. So give me an example. Let's say like 75 precincts.
Let's say 75 precincts, one person came in with COVID.
In the squad.
Okay. We had to shut down the whole 75 squad. We had to let everybody go home and be tested to make sure that the virus wasn't.
And these cases are just.
And these cases are still, people are still coming in, and even then, crime was going up.
Right.
So now we had to reach out, had a 7-3 and say another squad that was 7-9 catch their cases, and then after they got tested, we would have before they got tested or before they came back after being tested, we had to sterilize the office, make sure everything was clean, and make sure there was in a place where they could come back to a safe environment. Wow. So between that and how we responded to DOA jobs, because we don't know if DOAs were dying because of COVID.
Right.
There were so many DOAs that people were unfortunately having to wait for 24 hours before we could get there because we were so overwhelmed with the amount of people that were dying.
I remember the box trucks at Brookdale Hospital.
Yeah.
Freezer trucks with bodies just sitting in there.
Every day was a juggling act regarding how do we keep the city safe and be a responsive investigative bureau. And I had a great team around me, Miguel Iglesias, and a host of other individuals, really good partners for me to help me navigate through such a difficult time.
Well, kudos to you and your team for getting us, the entire city of New York, through COVID.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of friends during COVID. People literally was walking in the hospital, and you just had to drop them at the front door. It was crazy. Yeah. And you couldn't go in. I don't care if it was your mother, your grandmother, your child. It was difficult, and I pray to God that we never have a pandemic like that again. But let's get to some fun stuff. Right now, it's time for the Spitfire round on Corey's Corner. You familiar with that?
I am.
I'm going to ask you 10 rapid-fire questions.
Can we make it 5? Does it have to be 10?
It has to be 10. You're going to give me yes or no answers or one-word answers. Try not to expand too much. Can
I pause and think about it first, or it has to be Spitfire?
You could pause.
I'm joking. Gotcha.
You ready?
Let's do it.
NYPD or Suffolk County?
NYPD.
Tougher job.
Tougher job. NYPD.
One word that describes policing today.
Difficult.
Toughest borough to police in New York City.
Brooklyn North. That's an easy one. I'm sorry, Bronx. I don't know. I know I've been to the Bronx right now. Brooklyn North.
The Bronx guys are looking at
Brooklyn North.
Most underrated quality in a great cop.
Compassion.
Detective work or patrol? Which did you enjoy more?
Detective work. Being able to close out cases and bring some type of closure to a family member was very, very important.
One case that still stays with you today.
It has to be the homicide that happened at 803 Notion Avenue when I was in the 7-1 squad.
Biggest misconception the public has about police officers?
Painting us with a broad brush.
Who was the most influential leader in your career?
Phil Banks.
What's harder, leading cops or managing politics?
Raising 3 daughters is the most difficult thing. I don't know. I know that wasn't a choice. Let's make sure that's very clear. When you got 3 daughters at home and they don't listen to you, there's nothing more difficult. You go into work, you tell people what to do, everybody listens. You go home, hey, blah, blah, blah. You can't wear that? Yeah, whatever, daddy. So raising 3 daughters is the hardest. But on a serious note, policing is extremely, extremely difficult task, and it's something that I think is underappreciated.
If you weren't in law enforcement, what career would you have pursued?
I probably would have been an athletic director somewhere. I went to Springfield College for physical education, so I probably would have went into coaching and probably being an athletic director at some either high school or college.
Thank you for participating in the Spitfire round.
Love it.
Corey's Corner is powered by Story to Tell Productions. If you're serious about starting a podcast or taking your production to the next level, this is the team you need. Reach out to Story to Tell Productions and get it done the right way. Before we move forward, let me take you somewhere for a second. Everything we talk about on this show, power, accountability, loyalty, redemption, it's not just a conversation for me. I lived it, I earned it, I survived it. I've seen both sides of the system. I've walked the streets, I've worn the badge. I've carried the weight of decision that changed people's lives. That's why I wrote Once a Cop, The Street, the Law, 2 Worlds, 1 Man. It's not just a book, it's the raw, unfiltered truth about the journey from the corners of Queens, New York, to the high-gloss hallways of NYPD headquarters. The pressure of politics, the purpose, the cost. And the documentary, A Cops and Robbers Story, pulls the curtain back even further. No headlines, no sound bites. Just the human story behind the uniform. Because behind every badge is a man, behind every rank is a story, and behind every story is a choice. Now a word from our sponsors.
This is not your average vodka. This is Vodkila, a decade of cultured excellence. The best of both worlds. The true taste of victory. A delicious dyad spirit. The world's finest blend of vodka and tequila. Vodkila, the perfect blend. From rooftop parties to quiet moments with friends, Vodkila brings the flavor, the fire, and the unforgettable. So pour it, share it, live it. Vodkila. Visit vodkila.net and order yours today.
Commissioner, you made history again as the first black police commissioner in Suffolk County, and one of the defining moments of your tenure was the creation of the Gilgo Beach Homicide Task Force. Walk us through the importance of that investigation and what it took to finally move that case forward. Before you answer, what was it, January 3rd you did that press conference? It was very early in January.
I'm not sure it was January 3rd, but it was sometime in January.
Very early in January, you do this press conference at Gilgo Beach, and I'm watching the news, and I'm saying, Rodney's going to solve this fucking case. Because for me, I know where you came from. I mean, the biggest police department in the country, and I'm saying, Rodney probably, because you did this press conference, this is one of the first press conferences you did as a police commissioner, and you're like, I'm creating this task force. In my mind, I'm saying, you went there and asked, bring me the case file on this, and looked at it and was like, what the fuck are y'all doing out here?
I just had an opportunity to do a walkthrough and a survey of the site of where some of our unfortunate bodies were found that are part of the serial killer Gilgo Beach murders. Now, this is one of the things as an investigator in NYPD that we've always done. Take a look at the incidents, take a look at the location, at the crime scene to kind of get a better idea of exactly what may need to be done within the investigation. I also had an opportunity to speak with the Suffolk County homicide investigators that are leading the investigation. A lot of great work was done. I like to bring a fresh set of eyes from my experiences being an investigator in the NYPD, just to make sure that all of the investigative leads are being done appropriately. Just of what I've seen so far, there's some great leads that are putting us in a great place to solve this case. I mean, we'll make a commitment to the residents of Suffolk County as well as the family members. We will not rest until we bring those accountable to justice. So one of the things that I saw with this task force, or this case, once I was debriefed by the homicide investigators, Kevin Byron, that it had a lot of meat on it. This case definitely had something where if we prioritize it, we could probably get to a place of potentially identifying a person of interest. But there's a blueprint in doing investigations, and I learned this during my time frame in the NYPD, that we can't do it by ourselves, and we gotta be able to bring in other agencies working together to make sure that we use everybody else's databases to be able to get closer to solving this case. And that's the one thing that I saw when I went out there was there were no partnerships. Everybody was kind of like doing their own thing, and I was like, listen, we gotta kind of like work together. And that was I want to believe the mishap. And by the way, that's not just Suffolk County. A lot of investigators in the NYPD and other departments, they don't want to work with other agencies. They rather, there's a little bit of macho-ness to it. Like, yeah, I got this case. I know what I'm doing. Right. I don't need to work with I don't need any help. Mm-hmm. But they needed help. And being able to bring in the state police, being able to bring in the FBI. And by the way, the FBI, when I initially asked them to be part of the task force, they told me to go fuck myself.
I wanted you to say that.
Yeah. They did. You told me, like, no, we're not working with you. You guys have thrown us off the case in the past. We're not coming back with you. And
so what's your response to them when they say that?
I laughed. Because what I know of the FBI and the NYPD, they'll do whatever you ask them to do.
Right.
They were always great partners. So I'm like, what exactly happened here? So one of the things that I figured out was when there was assistance or help from outside departments walking into the homicide office, they were excluded. Like, they were told, all right, just sit over there. We'll let you know when we need you. And the FBI probably got tired of the nonsense and they left.
Right.
So the strategy was, if I put them, this is probably one of the best things I could have done when it came to creating the task force, was give them their own office. Mm-hmm. Making sure that they don't feel isolated, make sure that they have a level of comfort. And the state police gave us a female investigator that's literally solved the case, mm-hmm. or got us to a place where we were able to identify the subject. But between the state police, the FBI and their assistants, working with Ray Tierney, who, was absolutely phenomenal. And I know there's a little bit of division between us, and it is what it is, but the man was absolutely phenomenal as a prosecutor, and making sure there was a good judicial case once we had Rex Sherman identified. And then working with the sheriff's office and Earl Talon and his team, it was something where I want to believe was missing in the investigation. And when you bring a bunch of different agencies and ideas and heads together, anything is possible. And listen, I don't have to tell you this. This is something that we do all the time in NYPD. Why they didn't do that in Suffolk is unbeknownst to me. But I will say this: once we came together, the case came together very, very fast.
All right, because you're on Corey's Corner, so we keep it right, not real.
Let's do it.
Do you think, in my mind, for you to go there and fucking solve this case, walking in the door, I'm almost of the mindset that they didn't even want to solve the fucking case.
So let's make sure this is very crystal clear, and I share this all the time. I didn't solve the case. I didn't look at any.
No, you didn't solve, but you brought the team.
I rejuvenated the investigation,
exactly.
And
we gotta be clear.
And I held them accountable by having weekly meetings.
Right.
And if they said that they just were going to do something the week before, the next meeting that we had inside the office with the Gilgo Beach, we had like an office where we met every week. We would challenge them, say, "Yo, you said you were going to do this week.
Right?
Did you do it? And why did you not do it?" And it once again is this. That's a little bit of like the CompStat philosophy of holding people accountable to do certain things that they say that they're going to do. And if you don't do it, why did you not do it? So when you bring that magnifying glass and make sure that you're following up regarding, which was something that I unfortunately don't think was done prior to me getting there.
Right.
I think they started realizing like we have to start doing what we're saying we're doing. In contrast to, unfortunately, I just don't think that it was prioritized. I think it was put on the back burner, and they had every single excuse for not putting their best foot forward regarding the investigation. Was it because they were sex workers? I don't want to speculate. Was it because of other issues? People were saying that the former chief of department, Jimmy Burke, might have been involved. Was that? I don't. Once again, it's this. I don't want to sit here and say that was the case, but there was
you don't
something.
have to say.
But
I would say, because to have 11 bodies, 11 at this point, and I think it's probably more that's out there.
Do I.
And not to solve it, it's like crazy. But kudos to you. I want to be crystal clear here on Corey's Corner, because I don't think you're getting the credit that you deservingly supposed to have. And I saw that press conference a couple of weeks ago where everybody talking about solving the case, Ray Tierney, all of them there. And if they said your name, it was a blip across the screen that I didn't even hear. You ain't looking for the credit.
Nope.
But I'm telling you, I'm giving you the credit because you, like the Yankees, when they win, Billy Martin gets the credit. He's the manager. He managed the team, right? You put this case together. You put the pieces in place. You oversaw it. You brought your CompStat expertise there, as you just said, and solved it. America, I don't care if you hear anything about the Gilgo Beach murder, Rex Herman getting caught. Rodney Harrison is the point person. I want to be very, very clear on that. And that's that. When you resigned from Suffolk County, a lot of people publicly accepted your family time excuse. You was going to be with your family. But behind the scenes, there was speculation about politics, pressure from the incoming administration, and even criticism surrounding the Gilgo Beach investigation. So let me ask you directly. Did you truly leave on your own terms, or were there forces behind the scenes making it clear your time was up?
This is a simple answer, and it's good that you're asking me this question.
It's Corey's Corner.
No, but the reason why it's good that you're asking me this question, because you know me better than most people. Growing up in the NYPD, having 3 daughters, I'm going to ask you a question. What was the most important thing to me?
Family.
And what about my family?
You loved them to death.
But sports.
Sports. Yeah, you wore them down to the ground. If he had 3 boys, they would have been in the NBA.
You know, there was a running joke about me, and I was called Rich Williams, Joe Jackson. Those are the names that people make fun of me about.
Joe Jackson fits.
So I miss so many of Kaya's games. Now Kaya was playing at Wake Forest. I was able to fly down there when I was in Suffolk County and catch a lot of her games, but I still missed a lot. And I said, the one thing I'm going to do is make sure I catch her last season of basketball. Rex Sherman was identified. We captured him. We arrested him. Cases, going to be closed. We're going to try to pin things. And once again, compliments to Ray Turney, keeping the task force together and identifying or attaching some of the other victims' bodies to Rex Sherman. Terrific job. But there was nothing more important to me than catching her last games, her last year of basketball at Wake Forest, and it was something that was very, very important to me. There was a change in administration. Suffolk County is going to be fine without me. They had some really spectacular police officers that did some great work that made Suffolk one of the safest counties in the state. It wasn't something where I had to stay out there. Listen, I loved my time in policing, but the most important thing to me is my family. Being able to sit at half court, watch Kaya run the offense and run the plays. And listen, they struggled, but she was second leading scorer of the team.
High level D1.
Highest level. There was nothing in this world that brought me better joy than seeing my kid play every single game. And hopefully that answers the question.
So here you are, America. You hear the answer. And I remember you telling me, yo, I got to see Kaya's last year. I didn't know you was resigning from policing, but you was like, her last year, I got to be down there. I got to be down there. And I called you recently. I called you, and you was like, yo, I'm in Ukraine or whatever the hell.
I was in Czech Republic.
You was in Czech Republic.
Well, she's still playing professional ball, but I didn't know that she was going to be playing professional ball. So my thing is this: this may be the last for my fathers out there that have kids playing high level sports. I thought this was the last time she'll ever play basketball. Right. I'm going to miss it for being a police commissioner? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was time for me to go. Perfect timing. Perpetrator arrested in the Gilgo Beach. We did our job, implemented reform. It was time for me to go, and I was very grateful for the opportunity. But going down and seeing my youngest daughter play was a highlight of my life.
I love it, and I commend you for taking family over policing. Did you feel that you fully got the credit for transforming that investigation?
I think behind the scenes, people know what my role is. Unfortunately, other people are trying to put their hands on the trophy. It comes with the territory.
But they can't.
But it comes with politics. It comes with the politics of Suffolk County. And politics out there are politics 2.0. I mean, it's a whole different level. So, listen, I'm an old school New York City cop. I know what I did. If other people want to take credit for things, it is what it is. But I don't need to pound my chest. One of the unfortunate parts, one of the things that I did not like, is that the people assigned inside the task force did not get credit. And I'm gonna give you a perfect example. I'm gonna leave you with this one. Picture a district attorney in New York. Let's say Gonzalez. Oh, even better. Let's say Braggs goes around and says he created something. Meanwhile, it was started by somebody in the NYPD.
Right.
What would actually happen to Alvin Braggs? Like, there'll be protests in front of his office.
Right.
The social media, there'll be demonstrations, this and the other. I just don't understand how these things happen where district attorneys taking credit away from the investigators inside the task force.
Right.
The homicide investigators from Suffolk County Police Department. It's borderline like criminal. Like if that was in NYPD, there'd be an arson somewhere. Like it would get crazy.
Yes.
But for some reason, I don't know if there's a level of intimidation or maybe it's not as frustration, but the people assigned inside that task force, the people assigned to the homicide detective squad, for them not to get the credit that they deserve, to me, is criminal.
I'm in total agreement with you.
I don't need the Corey. I don't need the credit. But
No,
give those dudes the credit.
No, I'm in total agreement with you that they should get the credit.
What's up, y'all? I'm Derby St. Fort. Make sure you check out Corey's Corner on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
And you publicly supported parts of Mayor Mandami's policing philosophy, particularly the mental health piece, when he asked you for certain non-violent calls despite his past defund the police rhetoric. Let's keep it right. Do you believe modern policing needs to fundamentally change, or do you think some politicians are simply repackaging anti-police agendas in softer language?
Well, I think it's a two-way street. I think there needs to be change, and yes, sometimes politicians are repackaging, but there's reasons behind it. And we could talk about a situation where the mayor is looking to alleviate cops from responding to individuals with people going through a mental health crisis. It works in other municipalities and other jurisdictions. I would like to see it be piloted.
Yes.
In New York City. I think there is potential if done right, and the 911 operators know how to vet the callers to make sure that this person's not a harm to themselves or other. And if you could allow a clinician to respond and it's working, then it's something that should be slowly and gradually rolled out. The worst thing in the world is trying to make the whole department do it in one pop.
Right.
And there'll be a lot of failures and people getting hurt in the process, because that there is one of the most difficult jobs in policing, is responding to individuals that are going through mental health crisis. And as much as we could train cops to do it, there also needs to be a place where people that have that background experience are on the scene as well. So I don't know how that partnership will work. I know that they're trying to build their own department of community safety and bring more clinicians into this role. But let's pilot it in 2 or 3 precincts and see if it's working. And then if it's working there, then we could figure out what we could do going further.
Listen, we look at Denver. In Denver, Operation Cohorts, they've been doing it 25 years. And the cops haven't killed anybody in any incident because they send those clinicians there first. So, Denver is not NYPD, but I do a slow rollout. Right. I think it's a great idea. I remember when I saw that he had you reviewing a policy and you was like, something that I'm like, yeah, anybody in their right mind was, because you know what I hated my whole career? You send cops to these jobs, man. Because cops, and they kill people. And it's like, the only thing cops have is their mouth and their gun and their mace. And then sometimes they're just startled. And you put them in these messed up situations. So we'll see what happens with that. Mayor Mandami brought you onto his transition team also to serve on the community safety committee. And you had some interesting characters on that committee. And shortly after that, your name started circulating heavily as a police commissioner candidate. A lot of people assumed the job was yours. So tell us, what really happened behind the scenes, if you can speak on it?
You can absolutely speak about it. And I've been asked this question numerous times, and I'm going to chalk it up to maybe I'm not responding appropriately. So I'm going to break it down for everybody right now. I've had a couple engagements with the mayor, one over the safety plan. Another time we discussed certain situations that he asked, what should I do as a mayor? If I win becoming mayor, what should I do in a certain situation? He gave me a couple scenarios. That was not an interview. So I was never interviewed for the spot. I was never offered the spot. I want to make sure that that's very, very crystal clear. The second thing is that people ask is, well, rumors are swirling. If he asks you to come back to be police commissioner, would you take it? And I have no intentions in coming back to policing. I want to make sure that that's very clear. People are getting confused. I have no intentions on coming back to policing. But if any elected official anywhere says, hey, would you be if the mayor of Anchorage, Alaska said, hey, listen, I read your book. Seem like you're a good guy. You're a man of integrity. Would you be interested in being our police chief or commissioner out there? You know what I would do? What? I would jump on a plane, fly out there, and hear what the man has to say.
Right.
Maybe he'll say something that interests me.
Right.
I have no intentions of being the police commissioner, but I'll hear what the man has to say.
Right.
So if I would listen to the person in Anchorage, Alaska, if Mayor Mandami called me, I would listen to him too.
Right.
Do I have intentions on going back?
Right.
Absolutely not. But the one thing that I do despise is politics and policing.
Right.
And I've been a victim of not being able to make decisions. I've seen police commissioners in those positions that were unable to make decisions. If I was asked, my question would be, are the politics going to get involved? And more than likely, that's going to be the case, and I would have no interest in taking the position. Right. Now, if he was to go, hey, and once again, this hasn't happened. Just say hypothetically, all the stars lined up, and he goes, hey, listen, you make the final decision. We're not going to try to take anything away from you. I would actually entertain it. But we both know that that's never going to happen because, unfortunately, New York City is a monster when it comes to politics and policing.
There you have it. There you have it. Now let's get into the good stuff. You recently authored a book, The Commissioner, From Street Cop to Top Cop in the NYPD, and the inside story of the hunt for Gilgo Beach serial killer. Tell us about the book.
It's about my life story. It's about my story prior to me coming on the job in the NYPD, my time frame in the city, and some of the things I had to face, and some of the struggles that.
So it's a memoir.
It's a memoir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then the transition to being the police commissioner of Suffolk County and how we were able to work together and solve the Gilgo Beach case. But the reasoning for the book is it inspires different communities. It inspires the law enforcement community, inspires the armchair detectives, and it inspires people that look like me to potentially think about coming into this great profession.
Man, that first chapter, the opening, locking up Rex Herman.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you said that. You got the detectives, you identified him, they go meet him walking down the block. They grab him, basically turn around, put your hands behind the back, put him in the car, and he's what I get locked up for. It said the Gilgo Beach killings. And he says, I want a lawyer. And you write in the book, that shit didn't sit well with me. I just get locked up, and you telling me I got 11 homicides on me, and the only thing I'm asked for is a lawyer?
I use a analogy, and if somebody was to come through this door right now and say, "Hey, Harrison, we're locking you up for stealing a bike,"
right.
I'm resisting. Stealing a bike, and I didn't steal a bike. I'm resisting. Let alone being told that you're being locked up for the Gilgo Beach murders. For this fucking guy to sit here and not say anything, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like, "Oh, checkmate. This is our guy." I was like, "No need to look any further."
Checkmate.
Checkmate.
Some of these titles are very interesting. I love it. A demon that walks amongst us.
Yeah, I got chastised for that. Believe it or not, people were.
I love that statement. When I saw you say that statement on television, I was jumping up like, "Oh shit." Rodney must be talking to Eric Adams because Eric always have these one-liners. Eric he loved the one-liners.
Yeah.
You was like, we got a demon walk. We had a demon walking amongst. I was like, fuck, that's a dope.
I got to give credit to my PIO. She came up with that phrase. I was like, I got to come up with a right hook phrase, and she was just like, a demon that walked among us. I was like, boom, that's it.
And you were so serious. You didn't blink. It was serious, and it felt like there was a demon amongst us. You can't bullshit me. I read that chapter, but the people, you can't bullshit me. I love that.
Being in so many different units, being an investigator, being in intel, being on patrol, I want to believe that my experiences allowed me to be able to ask questions. And when you're in the main chair of CompStat and you're asking people questions, you can't sit here and throw things at me and expect for me to believe it. I would hold executives highly accountable to make sure that they realize you can't just sit here in front of
200 people
in front of the mic and sit here and just tell me some old bullshit like it was going to fly past me. So I had a really good co-pilot in Mike LePetri, and he's a extremely talented and proactive cop himself, and between the two of us, there was some very, very dark days for commanding officers, and you couldn't just go up there and say anything and think it was going to slide past us.
911, the worst day.
Yeah.
I remember exactly what I was. I actually was at work, training sergeant in the 8-1 precinct. 911.
I was in 7-3. I was a condition sergeant in 7-3. When I first saw the first plane fly into the tower, I was, I didn't automatically go to terrorists.
We thought it was like a crazy pilot. He fucking made a left turn. He should have made a right.
And then when you saw the second, actually, you didn't see the second plane. You just saw some type of explosion.
Right.
And then the media slowed it down. We knew we were under attack. And when you have kids at home, you have a wife that's on the job, and you think the world's coming to an end, it's very, very difficult to try to manage what's going to happen next. And, when you're hearing cops screaming on the radio that they can't see, they can't breathe, and you feel helpless, it was a very, very difficult time for everybody in the NYPD to go through.
Who said this to you, TT or Amber? Your dad is fucking up the police department.
No, somebody said that to TT. She was at a bar, and somebody approached her, and they were just talking, whatever case may be. There was like 3 guys that sat down and started talking to them. And one guy was very nice, other guy was inquisitive, and the third individual said to her, "Hey, listen, by the way, you think you need to talk to your father? He's fucking up the police department." This was when I was a police commissioner in Suffolk County.
Right.
And, Tyra is spunky.
Yeah.
And first it didn't click, and then the guys walked away, and then she started going after them and got into a screaming match with them. And one of the individuals pushed her against the wall, and she banged her head against the brick wall outside the bar. And I knew I was under attack because, when you start going after people's family, I knew that this was going to be a challenge of a journey being a police commissioner in Suffolk County.
Well, listen, the book is called The Commissioner. I employ everybody to purchase it. You can get it at, where can they purchase the
Amazon.
book? Amazon. Please sell out. If you want to get a book signing, you can reach him at, tell him.
CommissionerRodneyHarrison.com.
Let's sell it out. Bestseller. Let's get it done. Was there anything you were warned not to include? Stories, politics, or internal truths that people in law enforcement hope you would keep buried?
Nah, I'm an open book. I have nothing to hide. If there's something that I have to share, I have no problem sharing it. I have been blessed and have met some people that have helped me in my career. I've been around some people that try to hurt me as well. But I have nothing to hide, and anything that anybody has to ask me, I have no problem sharing.
Do you agree with me? This is my philosophy in policing. As you go through the ranks, the first day you walk through the door, everybody hates your guts.
You know what?
At least most of the people. For no reason at all.
You know what's funny? When I went to Suffolk County, I was well received, and I think because of my reputation in the NYPD carried over to Suffolk, that I'm the type of, and I could be wrong here, by the way. So I say this now. Someone may be watching, like, no, that's not the case.
Oh, you wait till the comments.
Yeah,
wait till this come out.
Yeah. But I will say I was. Because remember, a lot of cops in the NYPD live in Suffolk, and a lot of the Suffolk County cops probably inquired, hey, who's this guy, Rodney Harrison, what type of person he is. And I want to believe I had a good reputation in New York City for protecting the rank and file. My biggest thing is, I need my cops to go home at the end of the day. I am a big fan of holding people accountable. Those 2 things equal making a better workplace for policing. So that's my philosophy. That's where I stand my ground, and I think because of that, I was well received in different positions as I rose through the NYPD and went out to Suffolk County.
What made you self-publish your book as opposed to get this book? Your career, I already know. I signed a deal with Simon & Schuster. Simon & Schuster, Random House, Doubleday. You probably would have got at least a $250,000 advance on your book if you would have shopped for the deal, but you did your own book.
So
why?
These shot me down.
Really?
Yeah, these shot me down initially. when I put together a proposal of the book. And I'm not sure if
You had an agent?
I had a literary agent who
Wow.
I'm not sure if there were some shenanigans behind it, but I will say this. She attempted a lot of the big publishing companies, and they all declined at the time. So I eventually found an editor who helped me put the book together. Sandra Wendell, she was terrific, and we chose to self-publish a book, and everything right now is working its way out.
I love it. Now, as a CBS News contributor and co-founder of Hall and Harrison Solutions, how are you helping shape the next generation of leadership in law enforcement and crisis management?
So, Paul and Harrison Solutions, we go around to
Shout out your partner.
Rudy Hall, Dr. Rudolph Hall, who was a great cop in his time frame in NYPD and academician in his post life. But we go around to different police departments and do a lot of different training, and we talk about leadership and a host of other things that come with some of the risk that police officers have to deal with on a regular basis.
I will be remiss if I don't bring up your beautiful family, Laprina, and I have to put this disclaimer out there so that the audience know that you and I were cops together in the 114 precinct in the early 90s. What's ironic is me, you, Miguel Iglesias, Kevin Williams, Hank Kendall, it's a bunch of us in the early 90s, and you probably didn't even seen the picture. But your kids call me Uncle Corey. My kids call you Uncle Rodney.
That's
so
right.
I should put this disclaimer to let people know that we are very close friends. I mean, and he could really play golf. But I used to bust his ass in basketball. But he could really play golf. Really.
Where's the camera? Which camera do I look at?
That's your camera.
That's the furthest from the truth. Corey was a good basketball player, but when I came out of the academy, I used to go past all those dudes in the 114. Make sure that that's very clear, including Miguel Iglesias, and hopefully he's watching this.
You know Miguel is watching. Now, your beautiful family, Prina, and your daughters, your 3 girls, I love them. Let's talk about, they followed your footsteps. 2 of them followed your footsteps into the NYPD. And I just found out a couple of days ago when I called you saying, yo, what's going on with Amber? You're like, what are you talking about? I said, she just posted up. She's leaving the NYPD. You're like, oh, man, I forgot to tell you. She's going to Nassau County or Suffolk? Nassau County.
Nassau.
Kudos to her, man. How do you feel as a dad? You know Kenyatta's a cop. My daughter is a sergeant. I'm very proud of Kenyatta. How do you feel about the girls following your footsteps?
So, you know, what's funny is that they did not want to become cops. And me and Prina used to talk to them about, hey, listen, maybe you need to, take the test. You know, maybe you'll have some interest in going to NYPD. It worked out for us. And they were like, nah, we're okay. We're going to stay with what we know in our major. And, Amber went to Queens College and Tyra went to Malloy. And their friends that came on the police department started telling them, hey, listen, your father's not only not making money, your father's a big,
It's a big deal.
big deal in the NYPD. You should think about joining. So believe it or not, this time peer pressure actually helped a situation become better. But I was against Amber going to Nassau. I think the NYPD is the greatest police department in the world. You learn so much. With NYPD, we're the Yankees.
Yes.
And you just not only do you learn how to be a cop, you learn how to be a better human being. And the experiences that I learned during my time frame in NYPD, I wanted my kids to experience that as well. But I also understand she has 2 kids. My grandson Christian and my granddaughter Kennedy. And the flexibility and the accessibility of being a better mom is a better opportunity for her to go out to Nassau County.
Well, good luck to Amber. I know she's going to do well. It's in her DNA. Looking back on more than 3 decades in policing, from cadet to chief of department and commissioner, what legacy do you hope Rodney Harrison leaves behind?
If anything, the most important legacy that I would like to leave is I'm going to make sure that the cops put their family first. If anything, listen, you could do a lot of great things in policing and law enforcement, and you do a lot of heroic things. But at the end of the day, I ask everybody that goes into law enforcement, please, Harrison used to always preach this: make sure you're putting your family first.
I love it. Before we wrap, is there anything you'd like to share that we haven't covered?
I mean, we could go back to the basketball comment that you made about how you used to bust my behind. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we could get some
still
videos.
pictures. I might have some still pictures. Okay. Let the people know where they can find you.
You can reach out to me through my email, which is contact@HollandHarrisonSolutions.com. You can reach out to me through the website of the book, which is www.CommissionerRodneyHarrison.com. Or you could find me at the General having a smoke, and we could have good conversation there as well. So I'm very, very accessible. I look forward to engaging anybody and sharing my story. And the one thing that I do want to share is I need for cops to be treated with the utmost respect, and people need to understand that they have a very, very difficult job.
Rodney, thank you again for pulling up, taking a seat on Corey's Corner. Thank you for coming through and keeping it honest with us. These are the conversations we need, right conversations that matter. Today's conversation was really about leadership under pressure, staying grounded through controversy, and understanding what it truly means to serve communities during difficult times. Commissioner Harrison, thank you for your friendship, your insight, and your decades of service. Rodney, I love you. You already know that. I'm rooting for you to do big things. And I'm really, really hoping that Mandami gives you an offer that you can't refuse. I'm serious, man. We need that. Commissioner Tish is doing whatever she's doing. She's leading the department, doing a good job right now. Well, I would really, really be happy to see you sitting at that seat, but you got to have autonomy. Like, I understand that. You don't want to just be there and being a puppet. I already know how you are. You're just going to walk out like you're fucking, I can't do this no more.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're rooting for you to come back. I love you, brother. Thank you very much for coming up on Corey's Corner.
Love you, man. Thank you so much.
For our listeners, if you found value in today's episode, make sure you follow, subscribe, and support. This has been another episode of Corey's Corner. Until next time, keep pushing, keep grinding, and always remember, it's not about where you start. It's always about where you finish. I'm Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Peace.
Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, up, talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.